My father's piano has 88 keys. It also is 88 years old. And until I sat down and played it, I had no idea what that would feel like. I'm Robert Estrin at livingpianos.com, and you might think this is simply a sentimental story about an old piano. It isn't. Or it isn't only that, because sitting down at that instrument raised a question that I think every piano owner needs to have answered. What does 88 years actually do to a piano? Is it better? Worse? Something you can't explain with words. Stay with me because the answer surprised me. And by the end of this video, you'll hear it for yourself. First, I want to tell you something about the number 88 itself, because it is not accidental, and it was not always 88. Did you know in Mozart's time, the piano had about 61 keys? Beethoven, who spent his entire career pushing piano makers to extend the range, composed on instruments with 67 and 72 keys. Piano builders pushed to go further. By the time Brahms started writing his concertos, pianos had reached the mid-70s and grew from there. It was Steinway who standardized 88 keys in approximately 1880 after Chickering made pianos with 88 keys. That single decision has held for 145 years. Every major manufacturer in the world adapted it. Yamaha, Kawai, Bechstein. You sit down anywhere in the world and you have 88 keys because Steinway standardized that in 1880 or in the early 1880s. Incidentally, Busendorfer, Stewart & Sons, and a few other boutique piano makers make pianos with more than 88 keys. But that is an outlier, a side note in the development of the piano. My father's piano was a Steinway built in 1938. 88 years old with 88 keys, an instrument defined by Steinway's own legacy, built by Steinway's own hands. I'll let you sit with that for a moment. Now, here's the second thing. What makes 1938 significant? In 1942, Steinway stopped building pianos entirely. The United States had entered the Second World War, and Steinway converted their factory first to produce military gliders, then rifle stocks. The instruments built in 1938 were among the very last to come out of that factory before the war interrupted everything. Pre-war Steinways are sought after by collectors and concert pianists, not for nostalgia, but for sound. The spruce used in those soundboards, the laminations, the craftsmanship of that specific era has a character that is genuinely difficult to find in modern instruments. My father's Steinway was built at the absolute end of that golden window. Third, and this is the part most people get wrong, what does 88 years actually do to a piano? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on how those years were spent. A neglected piano deteriorates. Humidity extremes crack the soundboard. Strings corrode, the pin block, the thick laminated wood that holds everything in tune. They can loosen over decades, and a piano that won't hold tuning is a piano that you can't play music on. But a piano that has been loved, played regularly, maintained faithfully, kept in a stable environment, does something remarkable. The soundboard settles into a resonance it could not have had when it was new. Aged strings can sometimes endure the ages. Piano technicians practically become emotional when they encounter a pre-war Steinway in good condition because they know what they're looking at. We have occasionally gotten in over 100-year-old Steinways that were all original and played beautifully. But this is incredibly unusual. We rebuilt my father's Steinway a number of years ago, and fortunately, as the original soundboard, which didn't even require any repair, which is remarkable. Now, let me tell you about my father. He was a concert pianist, a serious one. He was a Baldwin artist, formerly affiliated with Baldwin Piano Company, performed on their instruments in Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, in Europe, all around the world, and represented them professionally. He had two pianos in the house, a 7-foot Baldwin semi-concert grand, which was his performance instrument, and a 1938 Steinway Baby Grand. When the Baldwin first arrived, the Steinway became the family piano, and eventually the practice piano for my sister and me as children. I know those keys the way I know very few things in this world. The specific weight of the action, the way the lower register blooms, that particular warmth in the bass strings that I could identify in a blind test among 100 instruments. The brilliance in the upper octaves. I spent thousands of hours at that piano. It shaped how I hear music. After my father passed, both pianos stayed in the family. My sister has the Baldwin, and a few years ago, after I moved to Cleveland, the Steinway came to me. I won't pretend I was prepared for what it felt like to have it here. The first morning it arrived, I sat down and played a Chopin Nocturne, one I had worked on at that very piano as a young student. And I found that my hands knew things my mind had no conscious access to anymore. The fingering, the phrasing, I had settled on decades ago. The way I had always held back slightly at a particular inner voice in the second section. The piano had kept all of it, 88 keys, 88 years, and every hour my father played those keys, and every hour my sister and I played them, and every hour since, all of it still present in the action, in the voice, in the room. I want you to hear this piano. I'm going to play something my father loved, something I grew up hearing him play in the next room. This is what 88 years of care sounds like. This piano is irreplaceable. Not because it's flawless, because it's specific. It has a voice that took 88 years to become exactly what you just heard. Here's something most people don't know, and it directly affects anyone watching this who owns a vintage piano or a family piano or is thinking about one. There is a persistent belief in the market that newer is better, that a piano built 5 years ago will naturally outperform one built 80 years ago. For almost every other piece of technology, phones, cars, recording equipment, that's true. For acoustic pianos, it is simply not the case. The acoustic piano reached its mature design in the late 19th century. Steinway's fundamental innovations, the overstrung scale, the full cast iron plate, haven't changed significantly since the 1870s. What varies is materials, care, and time. And for a well-maintained piano, that is frequently an asset, not a liability. So if you own a piano that has been in your family for decades, here's what I want you to do. Have it evaluated by a qualified piano technician, not just a tuner. a technician who can assess the pin block condition, the soundboard integrity, the bridges, the action regulation. A pre-war Steinway in good condition is worth restoring. New strings, regulation of the action, voicing the hammers. That investment unlocks a voice that a new mid-range piano can't match at twice the price. And if your piano has a story, a parent's piano, a grandparent's piano, something that connects you to someone or somewhere or something, play it, maintain it. Every year it sits unplayed, something diminishes, not all at once, quietly. Because here's what I keep returning to. Every single time I sit at my father's Steinway, 88 keys, 88 years, the same hands that learned Chopin on those keys as a child are playing them now, decades later. The piano is the physical thread between who I was and who I am, between my father's hands and mine. This is not sentiment. This is what instruments do when you let them. I'm Robert Estrin at livingpianos.com. If you have a piano with a story, a family instrument, a vintage find, something that connects you to a person or a place, tell me about it in the comments below. I'm happy to provide you with insights if you're thinking of restoring a piano. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.